Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of Nottingham PGCE webinar. My name is Helen Spiropoulos. I'm the Admissions Manager at Stafford Global, and joining me this evening all the way from the University of Nottingham is Dr. Ruth. How are you today, Dr. Ruth?
Hello, Helen. I'm good, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Good. I'm glad that Dr. Ruth has managed to join us this evening. She's a very busy person, so thank you so much for being here. And I do see that we have got quite a few students from Saudi Arabia, from UAE. Welcome this evening. So how we're going to do the presentation this evening is I'm briefly going to introduce you to Stafford. I'm then going to hand you over to Dr. Ruth, who will take you through the program. And then towards the end of the presentation, you will have the opportunity to type out any questions that you would like to ask me or Dr. Ruth. Bear in mind that Dr. Ruth will answer questions pertaining to the academics of the program. Anything related to admissions, I'll be able to assist you. Okay, so let's get started. Now, Stafford Global was established in 1993, and we are a resource center for distance learning education in the Middle East. We are partnered with 6 UK universities, one of which is the University of Nottingham, and we have been with the University of Nottingham for many years now. Now, we do offer a variety of programs ranging from certificates to diplomas, bachelors, MBAs, right through until doctorates. So we really do have all the programs for your own professional and personal needs. Now, being here this evening means that you have been in communication with one of our experienced academic consultants. So our role here is to assist you throughout the application process and get that very important unconditional offer. All the academics is managed directly by the esteemed professors at the University of Nottingham. Okay, so I'm now going to hand you over to Dr. Ruth, who will take you through the program, and I will join you again towards the end of the presentation. Over to you, Dr. Ruth.
Thank you, Helen. And hello, good evening, everyone. It's afternoon for me here in Nottingham, and it's a little bit chillier, I think, than it is for most of you. Just going to tell you a little bit about the university and quite a lot about the course, just to give you an idea about what it would be like studying on the PGCEI. So first of all, you know, you'd be part of a cohort, part of your group of students on the course, but you'd also be part of the University of Nottingham. And this is quite a well-established Russell Group university. We call them kind of red brick universities here in England. It's a research-led university, research-intensive university, and it's got a lot of esteem that is attached to that, really. It's been described by the Times as the nearest that Britain has to a truly global university, and it's very true of the School of Education in particular, with our huge number of international students. And we also have campuses in China and Malaysia. You would be based, I say based because you will be studying largely flexibly online, but you'd be attached to the Nottingham campus, University of Nottingham. And you know, it's quite an exciting university and campus and school. Actually, we've recently got a £7 million grant for a maths observatory, so we are leading the way in researching maths education at the moment with huge government funding for that. So it's an exciting place, really, to be getting your qualification from, and there's a lot going on at the moment, as there has been historically in the field of educational research. Now, your certificate would be the PGCE International, and it's a master's level qualification. It's a blended learning program, so it's professional enrichment, and it takes account and allows you to reflect on what your role and experience currently is. So it involves face-to-face workshops where we come to Ajman, just down the coast from Dubai, and work with you. We come for the induction at the beginning of the course, and then again in the middle of the course to spend a weekend working with you face-to-face with the course materials. And there's also online tutorials and webinars throughout the course, as well as the online materials. So this means that you get the flexibility of studying from a distance, but you also get to build relationships with your group of students and your tutors in that way. So the course is about reflecting, as I said, on your practice with the theory that we are teaching in the course content. So this means it will be relevant for you as an experienced classroom teacher or as quite a new educator in a learning support assistant role as well, because you'll take the course content and you will link it to your situation, your students, and your location, your school. We haven't got a one-size-fits-all way of working as an educator that we are going to, you know, put onto you. We share the most up-to-date and you know, most rigorous research and theory, and give you the chance to apply that to what you're doing. And it's really a valuable experience for students as they come across that. And we do it in 3 different modules. So each module is a kind of individually contained part of the course. Each module is worth 20 master's level credits, and you'll complete them over about 12 months. It's slightly less, it's quite an intense course, but it's about a year. And the first thing that we look at, the first module, is all about educational aims and values in your international contexts. So it really does get you stepping back and reflecting on what the purpose of education is, why we educate students, and what they should be getting out of it and what society should be getting out of it, and some really exciting fundamental questions about your role as an educator. After that, we move on to the second module, which is about learning and teaching in international contexts. And this I think of as being a really core part of being an educator. I think this is a thing that a lot of teachers and learning support assistants are thinking about most of their day. It's about how children learn, how we can teach and organise our teaching to help students learn better, the quality of learning, and matching what we do to the ways that students learn. So that second module is all about learning and teaching. And then the final module of the course is a chance for you to become an educational researcher yourself and put your own inquiry together in a very small context. Maybe you'll work with a group of 5 or 6 students and really delve into their levels of understanding about a topic that you're teaching or that you're observing being taught. So that third module is a really exciting one in a few different ways. It might be your first chance to do research yourself, and then if you want to use a PGCEI as a stepping stone to gaining a full master's or further master's level university study, you've got experience there to show that you've done educational research successfully yourself. Now, there's a lot of support, of course, with each stage of, well, each of the modules actually, but obviously particularly with the third one, or the processes. You've got your tutor always to call upon, and your cohort that you're moving through the course with too. You'd have met them face to face at the induction. So it's quite a nice course in that sense. There's a bit of a community as you develop and deal with the challenges of each module moving through. Students tend to do their assessment for each module in one 4,000-word assignment. And again, there's a lot of help and support along the way for that. For example, in the first module, you'd submit a plan for the assignment and get feedback on it. You'd then submit a draft of the assignment and get feedback on it. And then, after a bit of time to work on it some more, you'd submit the assignment itself, which is the one that would get marked and give you those 20 master's level credits to move on to the next module on the course. So there's support there for you. And this slide just introduces some of the full masters that we do at the University of Nottingham, which the credits from the PGCEI, the 60 master's level credits that you'll gain, can be used towards the full masters. We've got masters in education, special needs, leadership and management in education, and these courses, I know the leadership and management and the education in particular are available online to do, some of them to do flexibly as well. So the PGCEI is a qualification you know, in itself, but it's also master's level credits that can be used towards master's academic courses, depending on what and where. As I've said, the resources and materials are online, so you can fit the schedule around you, and there are individual tutorial support if needed, and some group discussions as well. What we have at the University of Nottingham, if I think right back to the first slide, you know, I did mention you're not just a PGCEI student, you're a University of Nottingham student, and that means that all the support we have available for our Nottingham campus students that are on campus, we have that support, a lot of it online equivalents available for you. And one of the things we've got is a Centre for English Language Education, which we call CELI. I've worked with them quite a lot over the years to develop support for our PGCEI students in particular, and they now run 3 times a year a bespoke academic writing course just for you guys, to give you the writing skills and the academic skills, if you feel you need it, to support you with the assignment writing at master's level. They also can provide one-to-one tutorials with you about your work. You could send them a chunk of it and discuss things like how you're referencing or how your written structure in academic English is looking, and get some pointers and develop that. So the course offers quite a lot of ways for you to develop as an educator, and also as a writer and thinker in the English academic system. So it can be quite a lot of opportunities for support, and that support offers development as well. So to get onto the course, the requirements are a bachelor's degree, at least we call it a 2-2 or a second class or equivalent, or maybe you've got a professional qualification equivalent to that. The IELTS score is 6.5 for admission, and you need an IELTS of 6 at least in each of the 4 elements as well. So those are the requirements, but you've also got to be working with, I say children, it could actually be adult learners, but you need to be working or have access to a teaching environment. Doesn't mean you have to be a classroom teacher with your own class 5 days a week. That might be your situation, and it's a great course for people in that situation, but it's also a great course for people that are working their way up to that situation, or that are on a different course in terms of their career in education. Maybe they're learning support assistant, or maybe they are volunteering at a school for the foreseeable, but you must have access to classroom environments, learning environments, even if they're online, perhaps once a week minimum. Many of you will have daily contact in this environment, and that gives you lots of stuff to reflect on and lessons to say talk about, but it would be to write about in your assignments, where you'll be linking the course content to your day-to-day practice as an educator or your experiences in those education environments. So if you feel like it's the right course for you, your next steps for applying would be making sure you've got everything together. And this is a list of the things that you would need to apply: your degree certificate, including the transcript, your reference, a personal statement and a CV, and you'd need to fill in the application form from the University of Nottingham. You need a copy of your passport, and then proof of that English competency, which may well be the IELTS. So we are accepting applications for till the 20th of August, and that will be the cohort that will then meet following that. I'm just thinking it'll be in October time in Ajman for the induction and those first face-to-face sessions, and then the course will continue flexibly online after that. Yeah, 1st of October is when the official start date of the course is, and we meet shortly after that for the induction session. And that is a great chance to get familiar with the online platform, the structure of the course, what's coming in terms of content, how the assessments work, and meeting those other people. We've also got a LinkedIn group now for PGCE and for people that have finished the course, and we're finding that people are staying in touch after as well, which is nice. There are limited places available, so don't wait too long if you want to apply. And this just explains that there'll be a 2-day induction programme, and that will be in the UAE in October. It's really important that you come to the face-to-face teaching weekend. It runs over a Saturday and a Sunday. It is a compulsory part of the course. It's a really important part of the course. So that will be in October, and there'll be another one coming up halfway through your course, about March time, where we'll meet again and spend another weekend during the interactive workshops. So the course fee there is up, which is flexible for monthly instalments. There's an application fee as well, but do think about the early bird discount, which looks like it's running as well. I'll pass back over now to Helen and see if there's any questions.
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Ruth. And yes, there are a few questions that have come through. And what I have done is I've kind of grouped these questions together because they do tend to be similar, if not identical. Okay, so we've got a question from Asmani. Now, Asmani, I am a science teacher, and I would like to know if this program pertains specifically to science, or is it just general? Will this help me to be a better science teacher?
Both are true. It's a general course, so it's suitable for most educators, but it will be specific to science because you will be linking it to your experience as a science teacher. So you're the one that makes it specific to science. And the way that we work that is, for example, in the assignment titles, you create your own title, and your title will be about teaching science to grades 10, teaching them a certain topic, and how you applied some of the theories and some of the themes from the course to your teaching. So it absolutely should be making you a better science teacher, because it really does channel you to think about what you do and how that links to the themes of, for example, how children learn, you know, how your lesson, you know, can be designed to help with that. It's not an instructional course, so you won't be told, you know, teach like this, plan your lessons exactly like that. It's more of a reflective course, so you consider how you teach, you consider how you plan your lessons, and you reflect on that in light of the themes and the literature you're learning about in the course. I hope that's answered your question.
Good. Okay, so Kim has got an interesting background. She has actually been in teaching many years ago, and then stopped because she had a family. And now she's been asked to head up a school. Unfortunately, has no academic qualifications whatsoever, but approximately 15 years of experience in education. Will I be accepted onto the program?
It's a really interesting situation that you're in, Kim, because you've got a huge wealth of teaching experience behind you, and you know you're going to be in quite an important position moving forward as well. I would encourage you to apply, and there are case-by-case considerations where your teaching experience is considered in an equivalent way to the degree qualification. So I can't say whether you'd be accepted or not. It wouldn't be my decision, but I certainly can say it's worth applying, and it's possible that your experience will be considered as a equivalent to the academic qualification. So I definitely think you know there's a lot that you get out of the course. So yeah, I would say I can't say yes or no, but I would certainly say it's worth applying.
Absolutely. And Kim, what we do suggest is to try and send all your application documents as early as now. Your application will be considered as what we call a non-standard entry, because you do not have any academics. And this does take some time, because it does go to a panel of academics at the university that need to review your application. So the earlier you send us your documentation, the quicker we can send it through to the university for review and approval. Okay, and then we have a question from Ahmed. I can see that the program is a 12-month program, but is there any way that I can actually do 2 modules at the time and try and finish it in a shorter period?
Okay, good question. I suppose the short answer is no, because the programme has standard timelines for the submission and then the feedback, and then moving on to the next stage. So it is although it's flexible when you fit the work into your week or into your month, the timeline for the submission dates for your work are set for the whole cohort. It is a bit shorter than 12 months. I think it would be somewhere between 10 and 11 months actually, and you'll be about finished. But it isn't possible, no, to do 2 modules at the same time. It won't work like that.
Okay, and we have three attendees that have basically asked the same question. It's from Bianca, Asmani, and Danica. How much time should a student really dedicate to the program? Bearing in mind that these are working professionals, teachers that do have long hours, there's a lot of marking, there's a lot of preparation. So how many hours should they be dedicating to their studies?
Yeah, it's an important question. I think the fact 3 people have asked it shows that as well. There is a recommended number of hours that you spend per module, and it's to do with the CAS points. I think it's over 100 hours, 100 student effort hours per module. When it's broken down, you're looking at 6 hours a week, something like that. But where you fit that in is up to you. So it might be a little bit each evening, it might be all day on a Sunday, it might be during the school holidays, you know, when you do a much more dedicated, longer chunk. It's flexible in terms of when you put that time, but you won't be alone in teaching full time and having the course on top of that workload. That is the normal situation of our students, and they tend to manage it by keeping organised with their time, and we encourage on the induction to look at your calendars and look at your diaries and work out where that is going to fit in. And it's probably a good idea to do that before applying as well, to reflect on whether it will fit into your life, because some of us as well have more than our jobs, and we have our family commitments and things as well. So yeah, it's, I would say, kind of 6-7 hours a week. It could chunk down as I think, you know, it's 200 student effort hours per module is the recommended amount. It says 100 before, so I'll correct myself on that one. And then there's 3 modules throughout the year. So you're looking at finding, I suppose, 600 effort hours through the full year. But it can chunk into places that you will find it most convenient for you.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Ruth, would you say anything between 15 hours, an average of 10 to 15 hours per week? Would that be a reasonable amount of time per week?
Yeah, that would certainly be a reasonable amount of time. Yeah, that would, I mean, that would allow you to quite comfortably keep up with the course, the readings, the assignment development. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, and we have a question from Nompumelelo. I hope I actually pronounced your name correctly there. Normally we call you Nompu, which is for short, but I hope I actually pronounced that correctly. Right, the question is there any support or guidance in applying for jobs after the course is completed?
That is a good question. Now, the landscape for international teaching is very diverse, and it can be very specific to the countries that you're in. As a University of Nottingham, we can't really advise you in particular for you know, your next career moves, because it's quite complex and different depending where you are and what you're doing. So, you know, I will say you'll have your cohort of students that you'll hopefully stay in touch with, and students have found that helpful. You may have your tutor who may have had various experiences teaching, but it's not something we can really claim to offer at that point, I think, because it's just so diverse and changing as well, the landscape of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. What we do advise, Nompulelo, is also to look at your own environment, go and look at the various schools. You know, as Dr. has said, a lot of schools have got different entry criteria for their teachers. Countries might have different criteria, so it's really quite difficult to provide that kind of support worldwide, because it's a worldwide program. Okay, good. Now, most of you have been asking questions around IELTS, and I just want to perhaps touch on this. And Dr. Ruth is also welcome to add to this. Now, IELTS is a requirement, but IELTS is not the only English test that the university will accept. Our academic consultants will be able to provide you with a list of the different tests that the university does expect students to do. Now, we always advise to send your application documents as early as possible. You do not at this point of an application require to have an IELTS test already done. If you have, it's fantastic, and it has to be an academic IELTS, not a standard general IELTS. Now, the reason why we say submit the application is so that it can be evaluated by the university admissions department, and in the event that you do require to meet that English requirement, you've got more than enough time between now and when the program starts in October to actually do the relevant test. In some cases, you may not need to do an IELTS, again, depending on your qualification and lots of other factors that the university admissions need to look at. So I hope I've cleared the IELTS requirement, because as I mentioned, quite a lot of you have asked that. Dr. Ruth, anything else that you'd like to add on that?
No, I think you've made it quite clear. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. And a question that keeps on coming up as well, and I see Mohammed has joined us. Good evening, Mohammed, is about QTS. Does this qualification come with QTS? If not, how can I attain QTS after I have completed the program?
It's a good question. The program does not contain QTS. So QTS is very separate from the PGCEI, and you don't get QTS from the PGCEI. So QTS tends to be linked more to people observing your teaching, which we don't. We don't come and observe you teaching in your classrooms. So this program is different to that, really, and it doesn't offer QTS. QTS is particularly useful if you wanted to teach in the UK. In England, a lot of schools, but not all, but a lot of schools require or ask for QTS for teaching staff. One option, if that was why you wanted it, would be to do an assessment only route to QTS, which can take as little as 12 weeks actually. But for that, you need to be based in a school, you need to be teaching, and then do that program, which we don't offer at the University of Nottingham, but that's a program that you can do kind of on the job once you're in a school. I mean, a PGCE offers QTS, but that's not what the PGCEI is, the international one.
Okay, good. And again, we have a question from Kim. Because I do not have any academics, I'm a little bit concerned about the assignments. Will I be able to pass them successfully? It's been a long time since I've written any examinations.
Yeah, I mean, we've got such a diverse student body on the PGCEI. So our students, many like you, haven't written academically for a long time. They may not have written academically for an English university before. And there is a period of adjustment to what the requirements are and what you need to do to meet them. We are very used to guiding students through that and providing support for that. So some of our time on the induction is looking at the skills and the skills and the requirements for academic writing at this level, and that support doesn't just disappear after the induction. There is, as I mentioned, CELI, who are the absolute experts in academic writing, and they are there for you throughout your course. Every university term, which there's 4 of during your time with us, you get 3 one-to-one sessions if you want them, with a CELI tutor who can review your writing. So there's also the CELI Talk course that you can go on for developing those academic skills. So when it comes to the academic skills for your assignment, once you get stuck into the course, there's a lot of optional support that you can use to help with the writing. And I would encourage you, if you feel like you're in that position, to use that support and to you know, take that help as you move through. And I think that all helps. What else helps is you're not just told to write an assignment and then told the grade you get on it. You have a lot of stepping stones to get you across that river. There's a lot of small steps to make that journey to your first assignment. So as I mentioned earlier, we do process work, which involves a plan of what subheadings you're going to do in your assignment. There's a draft assignment, and there you get the feedback on how you're writing it and how you're putting it together. So I would just say, don't let that put you off, and know that the support is available. It will be a challenge. I can't sit here and tell you you'll find it really easy, because it's not a particularly easy thing to do, but I think it's recognised as that. So once you've got that qualification in your hands and you've proven that you've written at master's level, it's quite an impressive qualification to have. And it's, you know, there is a lot of support as you adjust to what's required.
Good. And a question from Mohammed is, can I start my first module in the UAE and then move to the UK and complete the rest of the program at the campus?
Not really. I mean, the face-to-face parts of the program are done in Ajman, and when you start on the cohort that starts in October, they will be the sessions that you're invited to. So the first one in October will be in Ajman. If you moved, and we get this quite often where students move around the world and continue studying, because the course is, most of the content of the course is online, you can do that from wherever you move to. But what you will need to do is, come March time, where our final face-to-face session is, you'll have to make your way back to the United Arab Emirates for our face-to-face session. One thing some students do choose to do actually is to graduate in Nottingham, and they do travel to Nottingham for the graduation ceremony. But the elements of the course will be online, and the 2 sessions in October and in March in Ajman, and that isn't movable really.
Right, good. And Dr. Ruth has just actually touched on the graduation, because I can see quite a lot of you have asked that particular question. And yes, you can graduate at the university. You do get invited once you have successfully completed your program. And it is a very auspicious occasion. Dr. Ruth has attended numerous of these occasions, and it's great to actually see the students graduating. So yes, absolutely you can attend. And if you're not going to attend, you can graduate in absentia, and your qualification can be posted through to you. Okay, again, questions about assignments, and if they happen to fail, do they get a second chance to redo the assignment?
Yes, they do. They'll get a tutorial, they'll get quite detailed guidance on what changes might be needed, and they'll get a resubmission attempt, yes.
Good. Okay. So again, there's lots of opportunities for you to really successfully complete the program. And one last question would just come from Asmani is about the tutor support. How can I actually contact my tutors? Can I contact them on a daily basis? Are they available via email, or is it only through your online portal?
You'll be in touch with your tutor largely from when you meet them at the face-to-face induction in October. And there are standard points in the course where your tutor will be feeding back on your work, on your process work, on your draft, on your assignments, and you get a webinar with your tutor before the assignment as well. Now, you're going to perhaps have questions in between those things, and you're going to have particular things that you need to ask and find out about. You will have your tutor's email address, and they will reply within 3 working days, and it really varies how much contact each student has with their tutor, and that's dependent on the student and what they need. It's not often daily, but some students, you know, more often than others, will email the tutor, and the tutor's there to support you. What your tutor will be doing is they'll be having 2 roles. They'll be your personal tutor and your academic tutor. And what that means for you is that you've got support with the questions about your assignment and the course content, but you've also got support with any personal issues that come up and might mean that you're going to miss a deadline and you need to apply for an extension, or you need to pause the course and come back to it at a later date. If things come up that are making it tricky, they're also responsible for supporting you in those ways as well. So you do get a tutor, they're your academic and their personal tutor, and they are contactable via email when you need them, as well as the standard contact that you'll get throughout the course with them as well.
Good. Okay, so I hope that has actually answered that question, and I think we've managed to actually group all the questions and answer everything, so I hope that was quite sufficient for everyone this evening. Dr. Ruth, thank you very much for joining us again this evening. It was a great pleasure having you with us, and as Dr. Ruth has said, we are currently accepting applications for the October intake. We do have limited students per intake, so I really do encourage you to send your application documents as urgently and as early as possible so that we can get that very important unconditional offer for you. Thank you very much, everyone, and a good evening to all, and hope to see you all on our program in October.